All right, if everybody can settle in as we get started this morning. Um, Everybody's happy to see each other, it seems. All right, good morning, and thank you all for joining us today. This morning, I'm proud to announce a joint effort by multiple city, county, and state agencies, even federal agencies, to address the most persistent crime problem that our communities are facing right now in the Atlanta metro area, the scourge of repeat offenders. The presence of the agency leaders here today demonstrates our resolve in addressing this matter. We'll hear from them shortly, but first I wanted to take a little bit of time to talk about what we are facing right here in this region. Every week, 30% of the arrests made by APD are men and women who have already been convicted of at least 3 previous felonies. That's pretty much a textbook definition of a life of crime. We catch them, we arrest them, we convict them, but somehow they're back on our streets. And often they're back to criminal behavior. Residents in Atlanta have a right to expect that these serial offenders are dealt with seriously and sternly. Professionals who work at every level of the criminal justice system want this to stop. But often, the criminal histories are hidden or just not available in the real time for the prosecutors and the judges. And the problem can be multi-jurisdictional, as you see here today. To correct it, it will require an unprecedented level of coordination between the city, Fulton County, and the state of Georgia. It requires a commitment of manpower, systems, and data analysis. And it requires an investment by multiple governmental agencies. Thanks to the many years of persistent advocacy and support by the Atlanta Police Foundation, as well as our city's business community, we all have come together to be hands-on in this approach. We plan to change this system for the better together. Today, we are just a few blocks from our headquarters and directly across the street from the county courthouse. We are going to stand up a repeat offender tracking unit. In the best tradition of the Atlanta way, it will be funded by a public and private sector partnership. The tracking unit is designed to get these serial repeat offenders off the city streets. The unit will also unravel and interlock the overlapping and often inaccessible data on criminal defendants, judges, prosecutors, police officers, and pardon and parole officials will know in real time the criminal history of these defendants in the system. APD estimates that about 1,000 individuals, each one a repeat offender, are committing up to 40% of the crimes in our city. 1,000 individuals committing about 40% of the crime. The Atlanta Police Foundation's repeat offender reports indicate that these individuals quickly return to the streets to commit new crimes. This practice continues and contributes to be an interruptible cycle of crime that could be stopped, and that's what we plan to do today. So we have, in the city, we have jobs for folks, we have training for individuals, we have even banned the box so you can come get a job at City Hall. But we want fairness in our judicial system. We want to treat people humanely, and we do want justice. But we acknowledge right now that any system that allows a cycle of career crime, it is a broken system. And so this repeat offender tracking unit is our effort to get these people off the streets and restore public safety in our region. I'd like to acknowledge the contributions of the organizations here whose steadfast commitment to public safety has made this possible. We are standing up a dedicated office at 132 Mitchell Street here in downtown Atlanta. It will house 2 Atlanta Police Department members, 1 from the Fulton County District Attorney's Office, 1 from the Fulton County Sheriff's Office, a professional from the state's Department of Community Service, and administrative staff whose positions will be funded by the Atlanta Police Foundation. Central Atlanta Progress, the Midtown Alliance, and the Buckhead Coalition CID are providing furniture, computers, and the office lease. Dave Wilkinson of the Atlanta Police Foundation, A.J. Robinson of CAP, Kevin Green of Midtown Alliance, and Jim Durrett of Buckhead Coalition all demonstrate daily their leadership and commitment to this city and its businesses and residents. I want to thank them and the members of their organizations for all they do. Now, I'd like for each of the agency leaders and partners to say a few words about this effort and their involvement. Afterwards, we'll be happy to take questions. Of course, you have Fulton County DA Fonnie Willis, of course, our APD Chief Rodney Bryant, Fulton County Sheriff Pat Labatt, our U.S. Attorney, our Chief Judge, ATF, and FBI are all here behind me, and then some. So please come to the podium, Madam DA.
Good morning. It is an honor for the Fulton County District Attorney's Office to be here. I am joined by some of my top leadership. Today shows you what collaboration and commitment can do, and we are all very, very honored to be working with the Atlanta Police Foundation. The DA's office is committed to the issue of repeat offenders, and we are so committed that we've done a couple of things to make sure that this works. The first is, as you heard the mayor say, we will be giving an employee that will go over and work with this unit so that we are there every day and that there are no problems with communication, because communication is the first thing that must happen, and that they have access to our records and we have access to ours. The second thing that we've committed to do is within the office, we are now specifically tracking repeat offenders from the time of arrest. We are literally giving them a scarlet letter so that the prosecutors and investigators who touch these files know that this is a case where we need to pay more attention and make sure that justice is actually served. And then third, we are collaborating not only with Chief Bryant with the Atlanta Police Department, but also with our great sheriff, Sheriff Labatt, in making sure that weekly we are exchanging between us repeat offender information. All of these things working together are going to make our community safer, and I am just honored to be here today with Mayor Dickens and my esteemed colleagues.
Good morning. So, as the mayor stated, we're standing up this repeat offender unit. The question is, well, what does it do, and what's the purpose of it? One of the things that we have to be clear about is now we're being very intentional about addressing our repeat offender issues that you've heard us talk about at this podium over many years. We are now in alignment, very intentional about what we're doing. We have a stronger collaboration with the DA's office, the sheriff's office, and clearly our state and federal partners. What this also do is allow us to be more strategic on providing files to the DA's office, who can then forward those over to the courts. We have to really start being very aggressive as it relates to repeat offenders. As the mayor stated, it is clear that repeat offenders are a significant issue in the city of Atlanta. Just over the past 4 weeks, we've arrested 75 individuals who've had a combined over 1,800 arrests. That lets you know that there's a significant problem in the city of Atlanta. And so with this level of alignment, us being very intentional, being much more accurate on providing files, having the DA right next to us so we can now address these more rapidly, working with our federal and state partners who also help us in these arrests. This allows us to show not just the city, but the region that we're taking a different stance as it relates to repeat offender. So thank you to all our partners. I won't go through them all. As you can tell, this is a little different than where we've been before, and I think that this will move our city forward more rapidly. So thank you.
Good morning again, and I'll be really brief. I think it's important for you all to note that Atlanta's unique in this perspective, right? We have a mayor that really cares about what this looks like and really organizing from the top down. And so what that allows us to do is lean in and be more resourceful with specifically our resources. So the mayor mentioned we are putting additional resources to the Repeat Offender Task Force, and we're going to do, and I've said this publicly, we'll match You heard APD has 2 individuals. We'll match that. We'll put 2 individuals there because it is that important. Our DA has, from the beginning, been very, very aggressive about how do we build stronger communities, and we have to be in that same vein. We will continue to move in collaboration. So the one thing that is different, right, and I've been around both the city and the county long enough to experience this level of collaboration at an entirely new level. The energy is different, and so I want to thank Mayor Dickens as well as Chief Bryant, who on the front lines have really been very thoughtful about how we address this issue. And then our federal partners, our state and local and federal partners have really, if you really look at what's going on, you will see jail numbers rise. I'll be perfectly honest. And in that space, it is because we are going after those that mean us no good in our community. And so to that, Chief Judge Brasher and I talk all the time about what do we do next, what does that look like? And so we want to give him enough clientele to really stem the tide of crime in and throughout Fulton County. So I'll tell you really quickly, in less than 9 months, we've created the Scorpion Unit. We've arrested and located nearly 600 individuals that are just wanted for really doing bad in our community. And so with that, we've taken more than 50 to 100 guns off the street. What does that look like? That means that if there's less guns out there, hopefully there's less violence happening. So I am proud to be a part of this collaboration. Again, I want to thank the mayor and all of our federal partners for being here. There's nobody that has not been reachable at a moment's notice. And that kind of collaboration really sets us apart. So thank you again for your leadership.
I'd like to congratulate Mayor and Chief Bryant, Sheriff Labatt, District Attorney Willis, and Dave Wilkinson of the Atlanta Police Foundation on their work to establish this repeat offender tracking unit. On behalf of federal law enforcement, which is here with me today, we are standing shoulder to shoulder with our partners and remain committed to support their efforts to reduce violence in our city. Too often, what we've learned in our own work is that repeat offenders are the real drivers of violence. They unfortunately are responsible for a disproportionate number of police encounters across our city. Federally, we've demonstrated time and time again in our own violent repeat offender program that if you investigate, you arrest, and you prosecute those individuals who are significant drivers of crime in our community, then you can have an outsized effect on violent crime. In the United States Attorney's Office, we are doubling down on the fight to protect our communities from violent crime. That's why we are sparing no resource in identifying and holding accountable the repeat offenders who are the major drivers of violence. But of course, we can't do that alone, and we do this in partnership with our local and our state colleagues. We look forward to working in partnership with the ROTU and those who are assembled here today.
Chief Judge Brasher.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Chris Brasher, and I serve as Chief Judge of the Superior Court of Fulton County. I want to congratulate the law enforcement folks that are here on putting this program together. I'll tell you, better decisions begin with better information. And the commitment that runs through this entire endeavor is better information. It helps the officers on the street, it helps the prosecutors, and of course it helps the judges make better decisions. So thank you to them, thank you for their continued commitment, and thank you for including the courts. I want you all to know that your courts are committed to public safety just as much as you are, just as much as these folks behind me are, and we appreciate the opportunity to stand next to them and stand with them in this effort. So thank you again.
Solicitor Gamage.
Good morning, Keith Gamage, Fulton County Solicitor General. Many of the crimes that we see within our county begin as misdemeanors. And so we're working with our stakeholders and the great, fantastic servants here to make sure we identify those who are truly a threat. Where I am in state court, it's primarily those who are domestic abusers, lots of repeat offender domestic abusers who we're targeting with a laser-like precision with the help of our fellow stakeholders. And additionally, many of the illegal firearms begin with misdemeanor firearm possession. We're calling out today those subjects and identifying those cases and having a zero tolerance policy in collaboration with the feds and with Madam DA and the other stakeholders. I would just like to say thank you to the public for giving us the opportunity to present a united front and to truly, truly provide better public safety, while we also provide second chances for those who deserve them. Thank you.
Dave Wilkinson.
Yeah, I'm Dave Wilkinson, CEO of the Atlanta Police Foundation. I just want to thank everybody for being here behind me today. And just say very quickly that Chief Bryant touched on this quickly, and that was that, leadership matters, leadership counts, and the leadership of these folks behind you is real. It's live and it's real time in this city. And we could not have a more important moment right now, galvanizing leadership behind this mayor to address this very important topic. And the Police Foundation, the business community is solidly behind this. And I just want to thank everyone that's leaned in and lent their services to help us stand up this unit. Thank you.
Mayor, questions?
Yeah, before I take a question, I did want to acknowledge that there's, behind the cameras are our council president and council member Norwood, Hillis, Amos, representatives from across the city. Of course, my chief of staff, COO, and senior advisor are here, and a number of the leadership of APD in our business community. Just as we're all standing in solidarity towards this effort, so are our lawmakers and business decision makers in our city. I'm ready for questions.
Mayor Dickens, could you just talk about, for people who have been victims of repeat offenders who are watching this and saying, it's about time, what is your message to them?
Yeah, this is, that's what we do this for. Those individuals that's been victimized by anyone, but particularly by a repeat offender that really could have been kept off the streets the first time or the fifth time. And in some of these cases, dozens of times they've gone out and created victims of people that are folks that we cherish in our community here in Atlanta. And so these individuals have a choice right now. You can go to our job training programs. You have so many opportunities in this city that we have laid out with the business community, with government, with nonprofits. I've spent a significant amount of time with organizations and opportunities to get people on the right path. But if you've chosen a life of crime, and you've chosen to victimize a person in our city or in our region or a visitor, then you have to serve a penalty for that. And so I stand here now with these individuals that say time is up. We are coordinated, and we're going to be very laser focused on making sure that repeat offenders are taken off of the streets. And I'll tell you, one individual we're talking about has been committing crime since I was born. Since 1974, they have been in our judicial system, and so we need to make sure we get them off the street. Next.
Of the 1,000 or so people who have been coming through this as repeat offenders, what portion of that is organized crime or gang violence?
I turn that over to Chief or Madam DA.
I can tell you, in all actuality, it's probably the same proportion of anywhere of 30 to 40% of the individuals that we arrest. Gang members are not oblivious to this at all. They tend to be some of our more egregious and more aggressive repeat offenders. Most of the time when we are dealing with them, they're on their third and fourth felonies.
You said 30 to 40%. The other day I saw 70% was in one.
So two different numbers.
Okay.
The gang members are responsible for up towards 70 to 80% of the crime that we see in our city. The repeat offenders in that group, that number is slightly different.
All right. Since I got you right here, what's the manpower of this? I was saying, the sheriff was saying, I think he's going to match with 2 people. You guys 2 people. The DA's office is 1.
Absolutely. So,
But I mean, we're talking 5, 6, 8. I mean,
absolutely.
is this what it took? Just this many people to change the tide? It seems like you'd need a lot more.
And you have to understand, this is we are at the beginning of this unit. We'll continue to grow. The city of Atlanta, as we grow our resources, we'll continue to put people in this unit.
Chief Bryant, your officers or even deputies out here, they're busting their tails, making arrests, and you hear stories about how, suspects are going to jail laughing because they know they're getting out the next day. What does this do for morale, for law enforcement, knowing that when they're out there putting their lives on the line, that, you know,
Well, I could tell you, when an officer have to arrest an individual multiple times, it is demoralizing. But what they see today is us being very united, being very strategic, after going after criminals, and letting them know that we're not tolerating this in the city of Atlanta any further, inside Fulton County any further. Clearly, this shows that we're taking a different stance.
We only have time for one question.
We've heard about repeat offenders for years. I guess, how long has this been in the works, and what actually changes? If you get somebody who's a repeat offender, how does this keep them off the streets? Are they being held without bond? What is it that's keeping them from being out and committing additional crimes?
Well, I can tell you, let's start at what makes this different. The people that you see before you makes it different. When you have all of these different agencies in alignment going after the same thing and recognizing that we are being very strategic about what we want to do, then we're very united and being very specific about what we want to do.
Can you give specifics on certain people that are the most egregious repeat offenders, so not only we but the community at large can follow their cases?
So clearly, the city of Atlanta and the state states that if you've committed 3 felonies or more, that you fall in line with a repeat offender. And we're going to address people that violate those chances that they've gotten to get it right.
Do you have names or?
We'll be able to provide that through public affairs. We'll be able to do